Alright, Argenta we know wants to talk to us.
Greetings.
Even in stillness, Sister Argenta radiates energy, with her dark eyes shining and a slight blush to her cheeks. She is reciting a prayer and looks to you only once she has spoken the final line. Ignatius, greetings. I'm waiting for you to tell me about your past and explain the strange words of that cultist on football.
Yes, I'm ready. I would ask only one thing of you, rogue trader. If I may, I would like to see the chamber of the sacred warrant and kneel before the relic touched by the Emperor himself. A difficult conversation lies ahead of us, and I wish to pray by the relic before I lay my soul bare.
Huh. The Warren Chamber is always locked down pretty tightly, and we know Coonrad was trying really hard to get in there. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Argenta isn't a servant of Coonrad and Aurora and all of them, so she's not going to be trying to do something to get to it. And we also know that she does love relics, but still, it seems like a weird thing to go to the warrant chamber. But I suppose, sure, let's go there right away. Argenta nods gratefully. Argenta drops to her knees, her hands making the sign of the Aquila. Her eyes are locked on the sweeping signature on the warrant. A seemingly mundane thing, merely a flourish on a piece of paper, unless one knows whose hand left that mark and whose blood is on that paper. If thou seest a flaw in me, smite me. If thou knowest of a fall of mine, burn me, with flames of fury and righteousness. But if thou seest a light in me, grace me. If thou hearest this plea of mine, bless me, with wrath of fury and righteousness. Argenta's voice is sonorous, as if made for singing hymns and prayers. Right now, she cannot seem to catch her breath, so overwhelmed with emotion is she. For I breathe by the will of thine, for I live by the law of thine. I carry thy word, O Emperor. I bring solace to servants of thine, and ruin to foes of thine, a fate of terror and righteousness. Upon finishing, she closes her eyes and remains silent for a long time, with her head raised high. Slowly, like the first licks of a flame in a campfire, a smile blossoms on her lips. When Argenta finally opens her eyes, they are light with uncanny resolution. Rogue Trader, we need to talk, or rather, I need to tell you something. The truth about how I ended up on Theodora von Valencius's ship, and about the cultists we encountered on football. Am I to understand that you lied to me? No, I'm listening. Please understand, I couldn't trust you before. I'll tell you my story, and you'll see why. Argenta pauses. I'll start at the beginning. It's easier to piece everything together that way. Upon arriving in the Expanse and on football, I found no purpose here, only torment, and I wasn't needed. The reliquary I had been assigned to safeguard was already well protected by Reverend Hieronymus's mission, and no one was even trying to defile it. For all its lawlessness, football respects the worship of the Emperor. That was when Lady Theodora, head of your dynasty, appeared. She became an agent of divine will, in a way. Argenta falters, searching for the words. It was from her that I learned about a planet recently discovered by her scouts, Salus Prime. For a rogue trader, the planet was of little interest, a feral world away from convenient warp routes. But for me, learning about its existence was a revelation. I've never even heard of such a planet. Does it belong to the Von Valencius dynasty? Yes, now that the planet is yours by right, but it's not as simple as that. The warp route leading to it was lost. I will explain in due time. May I continue? Please, continue. The description of Salus Prime was familiar to me. It seemed very similar to a world from an ancient legend, the legend of Saint Argenta and her ship. Her voice grows reverent. Argenta, the living saint. She is my patroness. The order named me after her. She died millennia ago, when heretics caused her ship to fall from the skies. For even those blasphemers could not touch Argenta's ashes or her holy relic, the One Star. For the fallen ship, which now served as the resting place for the saint's remains, would only allow the truly righteous to enter. All others would meet their death. Imagine what I felt when this flash of insight came upon me. The world where St. Argenta's ship fell was merely a vague legend. No one knew its actual whereabouts, and suddenly I, myself, named after the saint, come across this information. I realized at that moment that it was a portent, that I must journey to the planet and find the ship, and so I asked Reverend Hieronymus to let me go for a time on a personal pilgrimage. I boarded Theodora's ship and demanded passage to the newly discovered planet Salus Prime. Why did you keep your supposition from Reverend Hieronymus? Surely he could have helped you with the search for the ship and the saint's remains. I imagine Theodora was thrilled with the prospect. You mentioned something called the One Star. What is it? Hopefully we can ask all of these. Why did you keep your supposition from the Reverend? I couldn't just come out and tell him. It was a portent revealed to me personally, can't you see? I told Reverend Hieronymus the honest truth that I was going on a personal pilgrimage to embolden my spirit. It really was a pilgrimage. It was as if St. Argenta herself had shown me the way, commanding me to undertake this trial. If I had found the ship and set foot on its decks, if I had laid my hand on her remains and the relic, it would have been a sign that I truly had been blessed with the saint's favor. Your actions were driven by hubris, Argenta. It's as if you wanted to keep your discovery all to yourself. Maybe? There is some of that, I think. It's understandable. Searching for your destiny, for your place in the world is a special matter, a personal one. You either succeed it or you don't. It's irresponsible of you. You've gotten yourself killed. If you'd gotten yourself killed on the planet, no one would have even learned about its existence, and the Holy Relic would have been lost. Also possibly true. If you were the only one who realized what you were dealing with once the planet had been described to you, then this secret was yours and no one else's, as is the decision about what to do about it. There are several good answers here. I don't want to mock her or insult her, but I also don't fully agree with her decision. Yeah. I'm gonna go with 2. I don't fully agree with it, but I don't want to insult her as she's opening up to us about her past. So it's understandable. Searching for your destiny, for your place in the world, is a special matter, a personal one. You either succeed at it or you don't. Argenta looks at you, somewhat surprised. I thought that I had been called, that finding the ship was my destiny, my place in the world. Perhaps there is something to that. I imagine Theodora was thrilled with the prospect. Lady Theodora lent her assistance. It was her intention to visit the newly discovered world, and she took me with her. And you mentioned something called the One Star. What is it? Apologies, I got so carried away I forgot to explain. The One Star is the relic kept by St. Argenta. I belong to the Order Koronus, and we attach particular significance to holy relics. The One Star is one of the lost relics of the past, so mysterious that no one even knows what it is exactly. Argenta's hagiography, don't know that word, at times calls it a banner, or a set of armor, or a blessed chainsword. One thing is certain, it was a beacon of righteousness, and it was lost with Argenta's death. So what happened next? Defeat, Argenta says bitterly. The ship's augers failed to detect anything of note during orbital scanning. I was expecting this, though. According to the legend, the ship can conceal itself from the naked eye, and only a pilgrim guided by a pure heart can find it. What I didn't expect was an ambush waiting for us on the planet. I landed there with a small unit provided by Theodora. I know St. Argenta's hagiography by heart. I know all the legends about her. I followed their obscure clues, the descriptions of mountains and rivers from millennia-old tales, and I was certain that I had found the way to the ship. And that's when we were attacked. The words we heard in the heretic shrine on footfall, something about ways, doors, please, addressed to some lord, the edge of daybreak. Argenta is shaking with disgust. They were the same words as those spoken by the cultists who attacked us on Salus Prime. My whole unit perished. All those honest, brave people I had led to search for the relic. It was only by a miracle that I didn't perish along with them. I didn't connect these events at first. The cultists on footfall, the cultists on Salus Prime, the cultists attacking the ship in Kunrad's betrayal. What if these are all linked in the same chain? What if they've long since infiltrated the ranks of the Von Valencius' servants? What if I led those heretics to the sacred planet within my search? Sadly, the only one who might have those answers is Kunrad. No need to blame yourself. If the heretics really had wormed their way into the Von Valencius ranks by then, they would have found the planet even without you going there. True. How did you manage to escape from the cultists? And that's why you didn't trust me before? Fair. But yeah, sadly the one who might have all the answers, Kunrad, escaped. Oh yes, I sincerely hope that we meet him again. That serpent needs to answer a few questions before he's plunged into cleansing flame. No need to blame yourself. If the heretics really had wormed their way into the Von Valencius ranks by then, they would have found the planet even without you going there. I think that's true, but she's probably going to blame herself for not noticing that heretics were within the ranks. I doubt it. No one except me was particularly interested in the planet. Kunrad, on the other hand, he sympathized with me when I first came aboard. He helped arrange an audience with Theodora and supported me in my effort to visit the planet. I never told him plainly why I wanted to go there, but I imagine that vulture must have figured out that it was something important, something related to the holy faith of the Imperium, and what could delight a heretic more than defiling a relic. So how did you manage to escape from the cultists? Argenta hangs her head. Theodora's people received a distress call, came to my rescue, and brought me aboard the ship. I barely remember what happened when they arrived. I was already severely wounded, fighting back with whatever remained of my strength. I think I shouted that we had to go after them, but they didn't listen. They took me to their shuttle and pulled out. After that, it's all blackness. When I came to, we were already in the middle of a warp jump. Theodora had urgent matters to take care of, and she decided that she could clear out the planet at a later time. So that's why you didn't trust me before, correct? Yes, Rogue Trader. Argenta looks you in the eye. I saw with my own eyes how a member of your family showed his true colors as a servant of the archenemy. I had already suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of cultists and was afraid of another betrayal. I couldn't be forthright with you, and so I studied you, looking for seeds of corruption or the light of righteousness. And what did you find? A man who stood shoulder to shoulder with me and helped eradicate the cultists on footfall. Argenta smiles as if reminiscing about a pleasant evening spent in the company of friends rather than a bloody battle. I wonder if we were going down the heretical route. I assume maybe there, on a heretical route, there would be an option to do something with the cultists, but probably we would still wipe them out, and I wonder how this would play out then. If we wiped them out, but we were clearly heretical rather than dogmatic, how would Argenta's opinion of us change? I don't know. That's the thing with these Owlcat games, is the so many different paths and so many changes based on what routes you're going down. This one only has like 3 major routes, my understanding: heretical, dogmatic, and iconoclast. But still, I think it probably a lot of these dialogues have minor differences. Although my opinion of you started to change even before then, back when you agreed to talk to the orphans at my request. A leader who's willing to honor those who laid down their lives for them and take care of their children is a leader who inspires trust, and the way you acted in that moment. Do you remember? There was a young man whose grief and confusion had driven him to insolence. Slowly losing my voice. You found the words that could comfort him. You didn't punish him, didn't scare him away with a show of austerity. You even admitted that you are not all powerful. It surprised me. I even saw it as a weakness at first, but after giving it some thought, I saw the wisdom in it. The way you openly addressed the thoughtless. Boy, does you credit, Rogue Trader. So, just to clarify, you were wounded, so you never found St. Argenta's ship, is that right? Yes, I rushed to Theodora the moment I could walk again, and I insisted on going back to Salus Prime to defend the relic from the heretics. But I was told that the warp had destroyed the old route to the planet, and that plotting a new one would take a great deal of time and effort, as if there could be anything more important than protecting the faith and hunting down servants of the archenemy. In any event, the route was lost, and all knowledge of it died in the attack on the ship, along with the old navigator. But now we have a new lead. The data that we collected in that cult shrine on Footfall, I don't care what that reprobate we executed said, there must be a way of tracking them down. Tell me, Rogue Trader, will you help me in this undertaking? Will you help me find this great relic and return it to the people of the Imperium? There's nothing I wouldn't do to reclaim a sacred object for the people of the Imperium. If it's important to you, I will help. I don't think Argenta's a romance option. I really don't. But if she is, that's probably a possible way to get there. Searching for ancient ships and relics is an exciting prospect. Of course, I'll help you. If the accursed Final Dawn is involved again, it is my duty to help you. That cult must be reduced to ashes throughout the entire Koronus Expanse, or I don't think I want to do that. Probably going to go with either 1 or 4. But I think I'm more interested in punishing the Final Dawn than specifically getting that sacred relic. But she'll probably be fine either way. So if the accursed Final Dawn is involved again, it is my duty to help you. That cult must be reduced to ashes throughout the entire Koronus Expanse. Argenta walks up and places a hand on your shoulder. So be it, Rogue Trader. As I stand here before the warned, the embodiment of the Emperor's will marked by his own hand, I vow that I will not relent until the holy relic has been returned and the heretics punished. And may the light be with us both on this path. Alright, let's get back to the bridge. Bridge is this way. Keep talking to everyone. Probably need to go back and talk to Argenta again because there's no guarantee we talk to her about everything.
Lord Captain, your presence is welcome. And I wish to apologize for my prior coldness. After our first meeting, I was concerned that you would turn out to be another faithless offshoot of the von Valancius dynasty, like the traitor Conrad. But now I see before me a worthy leader and servant of the Imperium. I am glad to accompany you in your endeavors.
Are you ready to tell me more about yourself now?
If such is the rogue trader's wish, although there isn't much I can tell, I am the Emperor's daughter and his servant. What else is there to know?
Where do you hail from?
Now that I can tell you. I come from everywhere and nowhere. I am the child of officers of the Imperial Guard. I was born in the hold of a warship, grew up following my parents' deployments from one planet to another, and lost my family in the flames of a righteous war.
Okay.
My memory is like wafts of smoke over a still battlefield. The gray of a ship's plating. The strict cadence of life in military camps. My mother's uniform. I loved looking at it. Then, that battle. The rumbling, the shouting, and the soot. The screams of soldiers burning alive. And the gold of the regiment's Aquila, untouched by soot or blood. The last unsullied piece of a world that was going mad.
Argenta absentmindedly touches the fragment of the golden Aquila hanging from her belt. Oh. Okay. Yeah, the gold of the regiment's Aquila, untouched by soot and blood. I assume it did eventually break, and that's why she carries around a piece of it.
That was my last memory of my mother, and of my former life, before the Schola Progenium and the novitiate, before my trials, before the vows.
A division of the ecclesiarchy responsible for the upbringing, education, and training of orphans of those officers and nobles who have died in the service of the Imperium. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate this aspect of 40k, where those orphans of, because Warhammer 40k is all about war. Like, one of the common phrases is, there's only war. Those soldiers who die in war, if they leave behind children that are orphans, the Empire has a plan for that. They don't just leave them on the street. It's like, no, we put them into a school and train them for various functions. And in her case, trained in the ecclesiarchy to become a Sister of Battle, which is cool. That golden shard you carry with you.
My own relic. It's the regiment's Aquila, or rather, the fragment that survived the attack, the explosions, and the fire. For me, it's a reminder that purity and radiance can be preserved, even in the heart of darkness.
Okay, I get that. So how did you become one of the Adeptus Sororitas?
Become. It's such a strange word for it. It seems right, but is that how one talks about their destiny? If you're asking about the path itself, that's easy enough to answer. First, like many other orphans, I endured the Progenium. Those years were rough, but I remember the hardship fondly. Few things can compare with the feeling of satisfaction from a past trial, even if it leaves your body aching from exhaustion, or your soul wincing in pain.
I guess the Progenium is not school. It's training, education and training, but if talking about body aching and exhaustion, so it's a brutal training camp for orphans to train them physically and mentally to become soldiers themselves, seems like. Not just, we're paying for your schooling, go to college. Okay, not as nice, but also fits 40k better.
I was one of the best among my peers, and I was selected for the novitiate in the ranks of the Adeptus Sororitas. When the hour came, I passed the trials and took my vows. The most joyous day of my life. The Emperor's light has always been with me, but to accept it with all your heart, to utter the oaths, that is a rapture like no other.
So probably most of the children who go into the Progenium just go on to be ordinary guardsmen. But those who stand out are then put into other paths, in her case, Adeptus Sororitas. Okay, cool. I mean, we can ask, have you ever wished for a different lot in life? But it seems pretty clear by that statement that she is thrilled to have gotten this opportunity. Have you ever wished for a different lot in life?
Have I ever? But that would be shameful weakness, almost heresy. Of course not. I was born for this. I live by the Emperor's will, and in his light, I myself am the light. I must be the light. For myself, and for those who ask for my protection.
The question seems to catch Argenta off guard. Yeah, she has never even considered that there might have been other options, because this is where her path has led, and she's thrilled to have gotten to be here, doing what she does.
I was chosen to serve, but beyond that, I won't deny it. Few things elate me as much as the thought that the heretic felled by my shot will never again orphan a child.
Yep, that's fair. Thank you for your candor.
It is my pleasure to be candid.
Argenta bows her head. I would like to discuss Salus Prime and the relic you want to find.
Of course. My mission is all I can think about.
We're going to ask this, but I'm assuming it'll just be a quick recap of what she already told us. What is our mission?
To find the way to the planet called Salus Prime. Saint Argenta is my patroness, and that is where her fallen ship is. And it must also be the resting place of her great relic, the One Star.
Tell me about Saint Argenta. Whose relic you're searching for?
Gladly. Listen. Long ago, there was a blessed world. Thousands of stars covered the sky there, so bright that its denizens hardly knew the darkness of night. Thousands of rivers nurtured the soil. Thousands of gardens bloomed every spring, and at every moment, thousands of prayers were flying into the clear air, thanking and praising the Emperor.
She begins her tale, her eyes half closed and her voice almost singing.
But one day, the people learned the meaning of darkness. Like a storm, accursed heretics who had sold themselves to the archenemy descended upon the planet. Shells flew from the sky that desolated whole cities and burned the gardens and filled the riverbeds with the blood of the faithful. Smoke and soot swallowed the skies and the 1,000 stars that had once shone over the world. Among the handful of survivors was one orphan who had watched all her family die and the garden she'd grown up in burn to ash. But in her heart, she knew the absolute truth. Just these 3 words: the Emperor protects. And knowing that, she never looked away from the black, terrifying, smoke-covered sky. There were no more bright stars to be seen, except for one.
Yeah, so in 40K, one of the cool things about it is that the more strongly someone believes something, the more real it becomes. And so if there was someone who deep in their core and their soul believed completely that the Emperor protects, then he would. And there are plenty of examples in 40K lore of people just walking through fire, as our character did, or through a hail of bullets or whatever, and going through unscathed because of their belief that the Emperor would protect them. Yeah.
The one star. The bright star. The silver star shone in the sky. And when the orphan smiled at it, the one star fell right into her hands. All the faithful in every corner of the continent who saw the trail of the falling star recognized it as an omen and went looking for the place where it landed. And they rallied together. And with the light of the one star, they found their salvation.
I want to know what this one star is, because at first she said, I mean, when she described it before, she said it might be a banner, it might be armor, it might be a weapon. Just want to know, because I'm assuming we will at some point come across it and acquire it. And if it is armor or a weapon, can Argenta use it? How awesome would that be if it's some super awesome weapon or armor? The girl from the story, that was Saint Argenta? Obviously. Come on, man.
Yes, that was the beginning of her hagiography. It is known that she lived on a world where heretics staged a terrible insurrection. They wiped out all life on the planet, except those whom Saint Argenta managed to save with the one star, and with the strength of her faith. After that, she traveled between worlds gripped by turmoil on her ship, marked with a silver star, and brought hope to the faithful. Numerous accounts confirm this. Her coming helped people turn the tide of the war and wipe away corruption before the Imperium's main forces even arrived.
Cool.
Millions of people owed their lives to her, but the heretics, having realized their imminent defeat, sent the remnants of their forces after the ship with the silver star. It fell from the skies onto an obscure world. There are no definitive records of how old Argenta was at the time. In some chronicles, she's even called the Child Saint, but their credibility is questionable. Either way, she didn't live long, but she left a bright trail in her wake, like a falling star.
I'm guessing if there are chronicles that are getting brought up that she was a child saint, I'm guessing it's true that once we find out she was in fact a child. Which would be crazy if a child was leading this giant war party. What is the one star? Do you know anything more about it?
If I only knew. Neither the hagiography nor the legends give a straight answer. Classical iconographers believed that the star turned into a banner woven from silver thread, which, when brought onto the battlefield, would shed light that blinded only heretics, but did no harm to the faithful. Most of them portrayed Saint Argenta as a girl carrying this banner.
Okay. So that's what classical, and usually the farther back you go, the closer to the truth it is.
Others think that upon falling from the sky, the one star became a holy chainsword, which Argenta later used to strike down monsters and enemies of the Imperium. In some of the earlier engravings, Argenta is depicted wearing power armor with a silver star on her chest. One theological theory suggests that this armor was, in fact, the relic. Some even think that the one star is actually the ship on which Argenta traveled.
Okay. I'm guessing if she has the star painted on her ship and her armor, the armor probably isn't the one star just because that seems to be her symbol. And so of course it would be painted onto her armor.
I feel that my undertaking will be fulfilled when I find the answer that has eluded the Ecclesiarchy for millennia. I pray we find the way to Salus Prime soon. The ruinous powers must be aligned against us. They stand in the way of faith.
Okay, well I have no more questions.
One day we will reach Salus Prime and stand before the gates of Saint Argenta's ship. I know it. I believe.
Thank you for this conversation. Until next time. So what do we know about that quest? I would have thought it would be a companion quest. But it's not. None of these seem to be that quest. Huh. So she didn't actually give us a quest. At least it seems. Presumably when we get into the area, the quest will pop up or something. Because I was wondering if this is something that we need to complete this chapter or how that's going to play out.
Words cannot describe how boring the bridge is without our stimulating conversations.
Lady Navigator, it's time we close the chapter on our cooperation. No. This is where I must beg my leave.
I have enjoyed your company. Thank you for the conversation.
Of course. Nothing from you. Anyone hiding here? There's not. Abelard.
Lord Captain?
Abelard greets you with the customary courtesy, but makes sure to scan you from head to toe with his scrutinizing gaze. I have discovered that there are caches left by Theodora somewhere on Dargonus and Kiaba Gamma. Do you know anything about this?
It is wise for a rogue trader to have caches where they can safely store important information. And utterly unwise to share the coordinates of such caches with anyone. Even one's most trusted associates.
A shadow of a sad smile appears and immediately vanishes from the Seneschal's face. So he's not surprised she had caches, and he also isn't surprised that he was not told about them.
I'm afraid I do not know how to find the caches, but I can offer some help. Your predecessor used this numeric code to deactivate certain defense systems in her service. If I know Lady Theodora as well as I think, then I'm quite certain that she left her caches well guarded. In that case, this code will be useful to you.
Abelard picks up a data slate, his brow furrowing, and then he holds out the data slate to you. Well, thank you. So when we get around to looking into those caches, we will have a better time of doing it. All for now. I don't think we probably have anything further to do here, but we'll click on it. Tech priest by the cogitator nods curtly. The sacred mechanism is awake and ready to receive your request, Lord Captain. Remind me of who you are. I am IH-630 of the Adeptus Mechanicus, a faithful servant of the machine god. The venerated Engineer Prime has entrusted this sacred mechanism into my care, so that I may assist in your understanding and comprehension of its hallowed code. Okay. High Factotum. The High Factotum Janus Danwart greets you with a cool smile and a merest hint of a bow. Pleasure to see you, Lord Captain. How may I be of assistance? Nothing. Okay. Enough questions for now. I shall return later. I shall await instructions, Lord Captain.